1 second, gentlemen. Let me see if I can turn off the volume to this other speaker. Otherwise, we are going to have some awful feedback. I think I've got it. Excuse the rough start.
Quite all right.
This is the first time we have tried Family Hour with gentlemen. You are to my right. It's good to see you over there. But it's the first time we tried Family Hour with all of us being able to see one another as part of this. And I had a speaker hooked up to, to the monitor. And so my mistake, we had a hiccup there on the start. But speaking of hiccups, we are going to transition from having run away and discredited the Black Hebrew Israelites to our focus now is going to be on the white Goy mother rights.
Right.
It's all in fun and games. I think not. Actually, this particular program, I have warned everybody thus far, as I did last week. This is Family Hour. It is for those who have been part of the covenant family for years. It's for those who have read the books, for those who know and love Yahweh, who are active members of the covenant family, because we are going to expose a treacherous betrayal that is very important for people to know. And we should begin by saying that we are not unique in this position. Everyone who has ever been close to and been used by Yahweh has experienced this. Clearly, it was experienced by Adam even. He was betrayed by the woman in his life.
Yes.
You look then going down to I think the worst of them would be Moshe, betrayed by his sister, and by his brother. You look at Dode, and oh my, he was betrayed by his sons and his wives, and I don't think you could have worse family betrayal. You have Yahweh telling the story of family betrayal through Hosea. And he even asks Hosea, I want you to marry a temple prostitute, so that when you're conveying the kind of betrayal I've had to endure from my own family, and why I've had to divorce Israel, and why the children that I conceived to be part of the covenant have now, I don't even know them anymore. They're not my children anymore. So he wanted to convey all of this, and he has experienced all of this. He's experienced it far worse than we have. And if you haven't experienced betrayal, if you haven't experienced a fractured family, it's very difficult for you to speak for Yahweh, because you don't understand his position on what his people have done to him. Now, the other thing I'd like to share is that if this betrayal were simply financial, where somebody took $18,000 from me and returned the favor by betraying me with nothing but grief, it would be disappointing, but I wouldn't bring it up on this program, even though that's what was done. If somebody had betrayed my family, attacking my wife, for example, which she has done, I wouldn't bring it up on this program. I would deal with it elsewhere. But in this case, this person has betrayed the covenant family.
Yeah.
If someone were to have been given all of the gifts that I can possibly muster for an individual, and this particular individual I did more for than anyone ever in her life, far more than any of her parents or adopted parents, far more even than her children, much more than her husband. No one had ever done so much for this woman or stand up for her as much as I did. And to be betrayed by someone that you did that for, that would confess, there's no one in my life that has ever stood for me like you have. Okay, so that's a problem. It tells you a lot about a person's character, but I wouldn't dedicate one show, but multiple.
Yeah.
This individual betrayed God. He betrayed Yahweh. Jesus misrepresented Yahweh personally. He betrayed so many members of the covenant. And so this has to be exposed. It is our responsibility to expose it. Every time this occurred, like when the children of Israel first betrayed Moshe and Yahweh, Yahweh's response was always the same. He confronted it. He dealt with it. Mm-hmm. And there are so many prophecies that we can apply to this situation. I shared one of them in the previous program, the one aired earlier today from the book of Yeshayah. Mm-hmm. And again from the 78th Mizmor. It is exactly analogous to this particular situation, and it shows Yahweh's antipathy. If you have not, I would strongly encourage you to listen to the final episode, episode 7 of Solving Puzzles, because it deals with this. Now, I sent out a note to you guys, I'm sure are aware of it, earlier today, because Facebook gives us an opportunity we really don't have on X or even on YouTube, although we appreciate those forums, because we can actually create a sense of family and of communication amongst family on Facebook. And even during this program now, there are listeners who are commenting among themselves and comments that we'll have a chance to read at the end of this program. And so what I announced was that I had come up with a replacement for Dode Song as our third program, and that it was going to be Katsir Harvest, because it was important to let folks know of the upcoming Shabuah harvest and then a preparation for what's going to occur on Towrah.
Yeah, there's a lot of angst in that folks want to know, am I doing it right? Am I doing it right? Am I doing it right?
Oh, yeah, lots of it. And even because of some of the things that I said this time last week regarding you cannot call Shabuah our harvest as a goy. But the white goy motherite movement cannot call Shabuah theirs. Every one of the Moed Mikre belong to Yahweh and Yisrael. Mm-hmm. And you can't even participate unless your mindset is entirely different than this rebellious group, because their mindset is not Yisrael. And what I had said is that you can't even participate in Shabuah with that mindset, because you can't participate in Pesach unless you view yourself as allied with and literally grafted into Yisrael. Mm-hmm. And some people said, well, but then I must be celebrating Pesach wrong, because unlike you, who has now been gifted a lovely Jewish, lovely Yahud. By gifted, I mean I think she's God's gift to me, so that I can literally be with Yah's people as I celebrate Pesach. The message there was twofold. One was that visualizing yourself, perceiving yourself as one with Israel, as making this journey together with God's people and living amongst God's people, is almost identical to the idea of walking away from your country and from religion. It's attitudinal, not geography. Yeah. And so, that is the way that you must look at it. But it must be really core thinking. It must be central to your being as you do these things, that you're joining them. You're not doing this because it's yours. Yeah. It's theirs. We have been invited to participate.
Becoming a part of Yisrael. Yeah.
Yes. And so the thought was that unless you're joining Yisrael and recognizing that you're making this journey with Yisrael, you're invited to join them, you can't celebrate Pesach. And if you don't celebrate Pesach, then Shabuah is off limits to you.
Well, it's like someone that's not circumcised. It's just a nice, you've said it in the past, it's just a nice lamb dinner,
Mm-hmm. So it's an exclusionary thing, and they were claiming it as their harvest, as opposed to Towrah, which they didn't want any part of. They didn't need no stinking red heifer, because they weren't they were white goy mother rights. Didn't need any of that stuff, and it was important to say, I'm sorry, but that distinction won't work.
Right.
Okay. So with that said, in this introduction, I would still have turned to our new subject, the cat's ear harvest, for this program. And I told you guys that's what I was leaning to do. And then I took a poll on Facebook, and the overwhelming preponderance of people says, no.
Yeah.
Fumigate the hive.
Yeah.
That's what needs to be done. And I also looked at the viewership of our last 20 shows. And when we talk about this, we get 3 times more viewers. Now, we're not trying to maximize our number of viewers, but we want to be attentive to what the family thinks is important.
Concerned about, sure.
Yes, and trying to resolve this fracture within the family, this literally treasonous mutiny, is important to people. They want to know what led to it, how it occurred, who the players are, because they don't want to be any part of it, and they want to make certain that they're never brought into this kind of thing again. I hear it all the time on Facebook and on email. I was once part of that. I'm sorry, I have come clean.
Mm-hmm.
And so they want to make sure they understand what it is they're leaving. And even with all of that, I would not have done it. I wanted to move on to the other material until one of the listeners to our last program said that she received a solicitation from what we call the hive, because of the way they presented themselves. And the solicitation began by encouraging her first to listen to their theme song. And she posted the link to that song. When I read the first line of the song, I knew we had to do this. Now, I have had Leah write down every lyric of the song.
Yes.
And I'm going to read the lyrics of the song, and I will stop at various places to correct the errors. But this is the theme song. This is the new belief system of the white goy mother rights. It begins. Our mother is calling. Can you hear, sweet and gentle, her voice so clear? Now, gentlemen, what's the problem with the first line?
You don't speak.
Kirk?
She doesn't speak. She has no lines.
That's correct. The problem with the first line is the mother, first of all, is never mentioned.
True.
The only reason that anyone has ever come to have an appreciation for the feminine manifestation of Yahweh's nature through the Ruach is because of what I have disclosed in my books.
Yeah.
That's it. No one else has ever come to that conclusion, and it permeates my books.
Yes.
But she is never presented as our mother, ever. Not in the Torah, not anywhere.
She has no voice. There are many women that speak in the Torah, but she has no voice.
That is correct. And the second part, you can't hear her voice so clear because she has no voice. Mm-hmm. She doesn't have a single speaking line in the entire Torah. There are hundreds of people in the Torah with names and voices.
Yeah.
She's not among them. So you're making a pretend fake God or goddess out of something that does not exist.
Very Babylonian.
Oh my God, this is Babylonian. This is right back to Asherah. This is the mother of God, the Queen of Heaven.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
This is the Madonna and child. They've turn back and become Christians again.
Yeah. Holy Spirit. Only a female.
Yes. It's reprehensible that you could do this. And you could draw people in on this kind of deception. Your mother is not calling. Her voice is not clear. When we hear the voice of God, it's from Yahweh. Yahweh identifies himself as our Father. He
in the Torah.
In the Torah. Everywhere. He is masculine.
Well,
as a masculine individual, he has maternal aspects of his nature, which are conveyed through the Ruach.
I don't. The only way I hear Yahweh's voice is when I study Torah and read Torah. You know, that's the only time I hear
words. It. Yahweh's words. Yahweh's words come through quite clear. Her words, not so much.
Yeah.
So in your opening line, you've destroyed your credibility. You've said that you're now worshiping an idol.
Something. Yeah.
From the Torah, her love flows to her children, whom she loves so. I mean, this is a complete perversion of the Torah. They want to claim Torah because that makes them feel all warm and fuzzy that, you know, they now have their own little Torah group, and they are talking about the spirit of the Torah. No, there is no spirit of the Torah. It's a complete lie. There is no love from the Spirit flowing from the Torah, much less mother.
Yeah.
There's no mention of a mother's love in this vein, as if the mother were God. The children of the Torah are the children of Yisrael, and they are the children of Yahowah.
Yeah.
And by the way, he both loves and hates them. So she loves them. So this is kind of like, Jesus loves me, this I know, because the Bible tells me so. Good God, what's wrong with you people? Have you all lost it? And then you claim you've gone into full rebellion mode to degrade what Yahweh's actually saying and trying to accomplish through this rubbish. I mean, this is worse than Paul.
It is so akin to back in. So what if it were true if God said with the tree, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's so what if there's no voice in the Torah? If you just meditate and just ask her, she'll come into your life. Good luck with that. Something.
Pentecostal.
She was with our Father. No. First of all, he isn't your father if you're spewing out this rubbish. Let's be clear. He is not your father. You are not covenant when you start spewing out this trash. And she wasn't with the Father. The Ruach is Yahweh. And Yahweh never refers to himself as the Father during the creation account. So there is no with our Father. The Father, it's Yahweh, God, is how he refers to himself in the creation account. He mentions, and I make a big deal of the fact that he dispatched his Ruach to hover over his creation. So he uses his spirit to accomplish something with creation. That doesn't make him a father in the sense of creation. And most certainly, it doesn't have mother with the Father in creation. I mean, this is like Christianity of
standing beside him. No.
Oh, God. You know, he was there at creation. But Jebus wasn't even there in the first century CE, so I don't think he was there. Oh, well, standing beside him. No. The Ruach does not have legs, does not have feet. The Ruach is spirit.
Yeah.
She did her part. Okay, well, if you were to refer to her not as mom, but as the Ruach of Yahowah, what did they say in the 78th Psalm? Oh, his Ruach. If you were to refer to his Ruach, his Ruach did her part. That is correct.
Mm-hmm.
But she was not with the Father, and she was not standing beside him. Together they created. We have an equality now. Mother and father. We have something for all the little girls in the world. This is exactly why the Babylonian religion had a Queen of Heaven and Mother of God and Madonna and Child. It is why the Roman Catholic Church usurped that Asherah mentality, because they wanted a way to control women.
Mm-hmm.
There is no she did her part, together they created. No, they did not create together. Yahweh created. The Spirit is Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Together they created man. Together they created man, and in their image he did stand. Now, when Paul uses the testimony of Yahweh, he always twists it. When Satan was in the garden and fooled Chawah, he always twists the truth. So let's compare what together they created man, in their image he did stand, with what God actually said. So God, masculine, created Adam, the man, for association in his image and pattern. In the image of the Almighty, masculine, he, masculine, created him. Male and female, he brought them into existence to be together. Well, there's about a 1% overlap and a 99% divergence between what is true and what is in their theme song.
Yeah.
When you do that, you are being nothing more than a duplicitous deceiver, and you have become an enemy of Almighty God. Yeah. You are no different at this point than Satan, who did this to Chawah. The only difference here is Satan was much more accurate in his corruption of Yahweh's message than they were.
That's sad.
This is so sick. Together they created man in their image. He did stand. That is such a perversion of the truth, all to create this mom cult. Now, why do they have a mom cult? It's really simple. Dee was desperate to have a feminine role where she could pretend that she was important because she has nothing going on in her life. Nothing. This giant hole of desperation. And she was desperate to find a role for herself. The first thing she latched onto was the gazelle. She wanted to be the songbird, but gazelle is a horrible term. It actually fits now, but we didn't know that at the time. And then she wanted to play a role where she saved me. She was just desperate. And every time she went off into this other tangent of how she was written in the story and she plays an important role, she tried to sell me on it. I said, no, not true. Stop it. This is not healthy for you. And then when I wouldn't listen, she went to Leah and tried to convince Leah. And Leah says, no, don't do this. I beg you not to do this. This is going to lead to a terrible place. And that's when their relationship ended. The song goes on. She is our sunshine every day.
Right. Who else was sun? Was worshipped as the sun? How many of those do we have?
Oh well, every pagan deity.
Yeah. Tammuz.
She is our sunshine every day. Oh, the heck with Yahweh. By the way, the one who is represented as the son happens to be Dode.
Mhm.
So we don't need no stinking Dode. We got mom.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that works.
Yeah. C is our sunshine. Listen, we're mocking this, and we're going to reveal some really, really horrible things in their words, because that is Yahweh's approach to this. If you don't like somebody mocking idiocy, then you're not going to like Yahweh. I mean, the one guy Yahweh is bringing back for a reprisal of his role because he did it so well is Elia, and Elia mocks with the best of them. And a matter of fact, in the both the passages from Yeshayah and the 78th Mizmor, we find God mocking them. So you don't like this style, then you're not going to like God. So you might as well go with the white goy motherite cult.
Right.
Her guidance helps us find the way. No.
Wait, the Torah doesn't help? I mean, the written word of God doesn't help?
Yeah, the Torah guidance doesn't help us find the way. The Torah guidance tells us the way.
Tells us where the way is. Yeah,
the Torah guidance tells us the way. It's not her guidance, and she does not help you find the way. I mean, and the next word, mother dear. Mother dear. This is literally a new religion of mother dear. The white goy motherites.
Yeah.
Mother dear, your love is grand. You hold our hand and you understand. Through the storm we will go through without fear because we trust you.
Yeah.
You know what this really reads? D dear. Your love for us is grand. We will hold your hand, D. We will pretend to understand, D. We will go through this storm, D, without fear because we trust you, D.
Yeah.
In your presence, D, we will find peace. All of our worries gently cease. You are our strength when things get bad. We cling tightly to you. Oh, and Dad.
Oh, and Dad, yeah. We needed something to rhyme.
So, how would you cling tightly to a spirit? I'm not so sure. Anyway, if you were aware of who Yahweh is and what he is offering, you would be more like us. You would have no worries. My worries don't gently cease. I have none. And as for my guilt, I have none of that either, because Dode took it and deposited in Sheol, never to be seen again.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we don't find presence in the peace of Mom. We find Yahweh's presence through the Torah, and as a result of what he and Dode achieved together.
Yeah.
Did Yahweh engage the Ruach for an assist in the process? Absolutely. Does the Ruach have a star? Is she even named? Is she even described, or do you have to suppose it?
Yeah, no, you have to infer it. You're the first one to do that. It's
and I'm the first one even to infer it. Yes, but it has to be inferred. Oh my God! So, I read this rubbish, this religious gobbledygook,
and it is
that takes the attention away from everything that is true, so that it can be directed at Dee's new mother cult, and it made me sick.
It's sad.
One of the things that is really disappointing, the song goes on and we'll continue here in a moment, but what you would hope after writing these 35 books behind me, after doing 10,000 of these audio programs.
Yes.
What you would hope after a while is that those people who have read your books, those people who you had nurtured along the way, would have some sense of understanding, that they would have the ability to think. It always bothered me when we had the rebellion of the group that Dee came from, the conspiratorial group. And I realized that we had to leave that, because if utter dunderheads are claiming to be part of what you're doing, it degrades the entire experience. So I attacked conspiracy so that we could weed out those who were dunderheads, that actually were discrediting what we're doing. And now to see so many who were part of the covenant family, who contributed, swayed by such drivel.
That's this remarkable part.
It's heartbreaking that after all of these years of trying to educate them, of sharing the truth with them, of writing all of these books with the translations and the insights that were provided, that they would fall for such tripe.
Yeah, you should be able to spot this coming a mile away. God. You know,
there is no excuse for anyone who is part of the white goy mother rights. This is so obvious that it's wrong. It's just revolting. I'm ashamed for you. I pity you.
You know, the word for love, I don't like all this use of the word for love. Love in Hebrew, the concrete meaning is I'm going to do this for you. I'm going to provide this for you. You're going to do this for me. I don't want to reduce it to a contract, but it's a relationship that I can count on you to do this, and you can count on me to do this.
And obviously, we couldn't count on them to do anything. They can't.
Well, it's not a woo-woo. It's just, if you're looking for a woo-woo, you're in the wrong place. It's trust and rely. What happened to basic fundamental Yahweh speak?
Yes.
Back to the letters.
Yeah.
It goes on. Our mother, this is the refrain. Our mother is calling, can you hear? Sweet and gentle, her voice so clear. From the Torah, her love flows to her children, whom she loves so. With a boy pointing to the sun, of course, as the visual image, which means since the person who wrote this is a sweet elderly lady, and I do feel sorry for her, because she's obviously been played for an idiot, and she deserved better than this. But it was one of the most important DBs that created the graphics for this, and for that I'm disgusted. To our heavenly mother, from your grateful daughter, is how the theme song of the White Goyim Mother Rights ends. To our heavenly mother, from your grateful daughter. Yeah, this is a group that there are a few people that are masquerading as men. I'm sure they're wearing dresses over in that group, but it is mostly a woman's club, and they're all identifying with, I've been a mother, so I can relate to this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I have specifically been told. But this is such a perversion of the truth, so reprehensible a corruption, so damning, so cultish, so religious. We have no choice but to denounce this for Yahweh, for Dode, and for Yehudim. Any association with these people has nothing to do with God, with us, with the Torah, with anything that is vital, that provides life, that is restorative. And you need to know how bad they are. Now, this all began, gentlemen, when I received a letter from the Mother Queen herself when she announced her rebellion. It was addressed to Jackie, who is somebody that heretofore I've had great admiration and respect for. She was really an extraordinarily sweet woman, and I, for the life of me, as close as we were, as much as she knew, as much as she's read, it is hard for me to fathom how she was drawn into this. But unfortunately, that is the case. And you will hear as we go through this, and my appeals to her, I've done everything I can to try to draw her out. I have been unsuccessful. So this letter was CC me, written to Jackie. I want to lead with an apology. I asked you to go along with Yada's plan. That would be me, my plan.
Mm-hmm.
Despite the clear agenda I knew was behind it and unknown to you, because it was a good strategy to keep distance where needed and peace within the team. After listening to Yada last night, I realized that that outcome that I had hoped for was no longer possible. So what she's saying here is that I had this nefarious scheme and that she knew it, but Jackie didn't. And she was going to pretend that it was a good strategy just to keep peace within the team. But then after our show together, Kirk, you were with me on that.
Yeah,
she realized that the outcome she had hoped for, which is for her to continue to be the queen of social media, was no longer possible. The indirect meaning of his statements implied some terrible things about my trustworthiness and personality compared to yours, despite the fact that he should know that I have been completely trustworthy. By the way, when somebody tells you that, if you were to shake hands, count your fingers. Above board, if they tell you that,
you can trust me. I'm a good Christian, right?
Trust me, I'm a good Christian. I have no trouble getting along with anyone who treats me with a modicum of kindness. So everyone in her life that she has abused obviously didn't treat her with a modicum of kindness from her point of view, which would be a litany of many, many, many people. And that list is going to continue to grow. In many ways, I'm a bit of a doormat because I enjoy helping. The matter of incompatibility with the team is not something I either created, caused, initiated, or wanted, and she has been the one who caused it all. It is not on me to repair this, and it is actually impossible for me to do so. Well, that part's true. Got that part right. Okay, got that part right. It's impossible for you to do so. You are who you are.
Yes.
I am resigning from Team Yada. Yep, we have our first mutineer. Now, that's okay. If you're resigning, and this was a business and you want to resign, that's your choice. And if you go into competition, yeah, well, that's not a very honorable move. Yeah, not going to like that. If this is a family and you want divorce, well, that's your choice. Except this family is YAHOWAH's. And the team that you just resigned from is YAHOWAH's. It's not mine. It's YAHOWAH's. Yada verbally, now this is her telling Jackie and me that she's going to go in competition and that she can do so because of something that she thinks was said to her. Yada verbally gave me express permission to use his name and brand on social media over the phone in December of 2021. He stated that anyone can open accounts with his public brand name so long as they abide by the terms of the copyright statement, and he was frustrated that no one had done so at the time. Boy, that is a real tremendous extrapolation of the truth. I assumed responsibilities of these sites alone. I did so much wonderful. That was appreciated. With my own resources. Boy, we're going to talk to that in a second. That is absolute, total, and complete crap. And maintained them completely alone for years, which is also untrue. As no one was on the accounts with me, ever. Well, no one can get along with her, ever. With her own resources. Do you know how much money Leah and I sent to D Powers over the final 3 years of our relationship together?
In the thousands.
$18,000.
I'll make it 20.
And you know what we got for $18,000? Absolutely nothing but aggravation. $18,000 for aggravation, for betrayal. You sent her money too.
Yes, sir.
So much for the truth, not her friend. Leah wasn't on the social site. She hates Leah. And she has always been jealous of Leah. Leah's everything that she is not. It's very much like the Numbers 12. They came at Moshe by first attacking his wife. Leah wasn't on the social sites for most of my time managing the groups. Actually, the whole idea to go on the social sites was Leah's accounts, and the sites did not build them with me. The fact of the matter, after every audio show, they would talk together about how to capitalize on this particular show and what to do. It was a team and collaborative effort, but Dee doesn't share credit with anyone. Despite my building her up as a friend and as a sister, no, you tore her down. You only pretended to build her up to garner favor with me, which then you betrayed. I consulted her and kept her in the loop throughout all of my actions as my friend and confidant. Oh, wow. You did nothing but betray her. Let's be clear. When the advertising campaign began, which was started by me with my own funds, unbeknownst to either Yada or Leah, if you had the funds to start it, why did you beg Jackie for money because you didn't have food to feed your family?
Yeah.
Why did you take $18,000 from Leah and me? Why did you take money from Kirk? I'm sorry. That's reprehensible. Yada asked me to run the campaigns with his funds. I executed those campaigns from him above board for years. Yeah. You know what I got for the advertising that I gave her? Zippo. It was so bad that when Yahowah came to me and said, you know, you've written enough books, we're going to go to the point where I want you to start talking to my people. And I said, so what do we do with the existing social media accounts? He says, nothing. They're worthless. There's no value to any of them. And he was right.
Yeah.
Complete mismanagement, a total and utter waste of time and energy. Yada asked me to run the campaigns with his funds. I executed those campaigns above board for years. He can easily do this exact thing on news sites and have a greater impact than I had within a month. As he said last night, any idiot can do it. You were there, that program.
Yeah, that wasn't referring to her.
It does now, but it didn't then.
Well, yeah.
Was that
was not what you said.
I have shared. Yes, I have shared many times that most social media sites, particularly blogs, are done by 20-somethings in their mom's basement. And when I started listening to blogs on like how to set up a studio and that sort of thing, what I found is that most of them were, I did that. That's so cute. I'm so like happy with my family. We're gonna open the box together. Isn't that? Well, you see, there's wrapping in the box. And it comes with instructions. We don't need those. I mean, it is presented at the level of a 3-year-old. I mean, it is so pathetic. I went in today. I was having a chat with Leah. I think it was during lunch, and she's listening to this woman ramble on about the Diddy fiasco. And I said, why do you listen to that? I mean, this is such meaningless drivel. And that's what's on social media. Obviously, any idiot could do it because mostly idiots are doing it.
Yeah.
That's what. Oh, God.
To the lowest common denominator. I mean, that's what even intelligent people are pulled into, you know.
A lot of the people in social media have no life, and they try to live their lives vicariously through others, or they project a life that really isn't theirs to try to make themselves look important. It is, and being over there on X and trying to break through so that we have a larger audience for Yah's message. I mean, it is really nasty business.
Yeah.
And so, and what do you look at too? The largest accounts, they're run by the biggest idiots. So yes, any idiot can do it. And obviously she was not smart enough to do it because we had invested thousands of dollars, spent years doing it, and we had nothing to show for it. It was far easier and better just to start over entirely. Now she continues, I undertook this work with his trust. I have done nothing to violate that trust. No, you've done everything possible to betray that trust. I have not violated the terms of the copyright statement. And I quote, now, the very moment she quoted that, which she's saying is, I'm going to use your words and I'm going to claim them for myself and I'm going to create my own little cult of personality. And since I've got nothing to offer, I'm going to base my cult of personality on everything that you have written. That is what she's saying here. And I knew it at the time. I didn't know how it was going to materialize. I could not have predicted the white goy mother rights. He, Yada, encourages readers to share his translations and resulting conclusions. These are my words, but she quoted them, albeit with two important caveats. You may not use them to promote any religious, political, or conspiratorial agenda, and you may not use them to incite or engage in violent acts. When it comes to exposing errant and counterproductive ideas, wield words wisely, end of quote. That is not the end of the statement. The end of the statement says, if you're going to cite somebody's work, give them credit for it.
Yeah.
Don't take credit yourself. She admitted that part. Didn't fit her agenda, just like she admitted what Yahowah actually said.
Well, she's in violation of number 1 anyway. Promote any religious, period.
Correct. And or conspiratorial.
If you twist it, what's the difference? Than a religion.
Correct. They have created their own little personal religion.
Mm-hmm.
I am not going to stop working. In other words, I'm going to work against you. Building, managing these sites. He is free to build his own sites and remove any of the contributions I have made. So all of her contributions were 100% based on my material, but I would have to remove the contributions that were made based upon my own teachings and my materials. And then she is free to use my materials on a competitive site. That's what she just said.
Yeah.
But I'm such a sweetheart. Since my sites are remaining up, now, mind you, I thought that she was doing this as spending the money based upon promoting Yahowah's message as I was conveying it. But no, since my sites are remaining up, he can link or unlink to whatever he wishes as he builds up his own, controlled by him as he sees fit. I am CCing him on this so that it is not on you to deliver the news as new acting manager of Team Yada Network. By the way, there was never a Team Yada Network. I am sorry for any frustration and inconvenience this causes you. No, she's not. She would draw Jackie in and do everything she can to ruin Jackie's life and standing with Yahowah. Chewing somebody up and spitting them out for her designs. Using Jackie to get to me was not beyond her, and she did it. I encourage you to find other individuals to open accounts that Yada will directly own, since controlling what the Covenant family is doing on his behalf to promote this message and work is now the focus. In other words, I'm not going to be part of that because I don't want any part of his message. It's got to be mine.
Yeah.
I will help Yada in any way I can that's moral, ethical, and fair to me, as well as to others. So, the skunk in the word pile, the person who has defrauded so many of us, the person who would con anyone to serve her own agenda, is now saying that I will help in a way that is moral, ethical, and fair to me. Wow. And you wonder why I am disgusted at this woman, who, I will remind you, before this occurred, I had done more for than any other person in her entire life, and by her own admission. No one had done as much for her as I had. She then says, I trained Leah so that Leah is capable of managing Canva. I think it was the other way around, but what the heck? It's a small point at this point. Without me, I assume, although I admit she caused me tremendous difficulties for the last couple of years. My wife caused her tremendous difficulties. My wife is the only reason she is even part, or was, not anymore, but she was part of the covenant family. It's because of my wife. Without my wife, I don't know her. Without my wife, she is still in the conspiracy cult. I think she's just changed from one to another.
Yeah.
I admit she caused me tremendous difficulties. Yeah, some friend for the last couple of years. And I'm not willing to become the scapegoat again on the new account when things go wrong. The scapegoat. I thought she was the songbird. Well, I get confused. I do not say this to be mean. Oh. What could you say that was meaner?
Come across mean.
No, what could you say that would be meaner? Mean girls. Girls are so mean to one another. It's just amazing how mean women are to each other. We guys, we talk it out. I can say, Kirk, I didn't appreciate that, but good God, we've been through a lot together. Let's just get beyond, and we'll shake hands and we'll get beyond.
Yeah.
Women. They're just terrible mean to each other. Anyway, I do not say this to be mean, but these are the facts. Well, she has a funny way of calling things back.
Let me say something.
I have borne the brunt of blame silently while enduring terrible black-handed insults, damage to my reputation and character. You didn't have a reputation. And all you were ever given is praise and shown great love and appreciation. You were never blamed until you made it so disgusting by this letter and your subsequent actions that now you have to be exposed for what you did. You didn't bear the brunt of any blame at this point. None. You hadn't received any backhanded insults at this time. None. And you didn't have a reputation or character to insult, and you still have none. And I allowed my reputation and my skills to be used by others, shared my success, and happily did so to make all things easy on Yada. Oh boy, you were great at that. At the time that Yahowah wanted me to change from writing books to speaking about the books, you rebelled.
Mm-hmm.
You led a mutiny, and you tried to take everyone with you. And then that wasn't good enough. Then you went out and you tried to do everything you could to discredit me, the person who had did more for you than anyone else. I reached the limit of what I'm willing to endure, and I will not be held hostage by my love for sharing Yahweh's words, for supporting Yahowah or Yada, and for my contribution. Hostage for her contribution. Hostage.
Wow.
I'm sorry. You bailed ship. And you didn't just bail ship. You tried to sink the ship you were previously on.
Yeah.
And then you tried to sail away with all of the loot. You are absolutely living in denial, always, D. So I wrote the following reply, but Jackie and David begged me not to send it. I have kept it largely to myself until now. At the time I wrote it, it was obvious to me that Dee was planning to lure away as many covenant members as possible. She said as much in her letter, and position herself as the voice of some female player in God's story. She said as much in her letter. But I didn't yet know that it would be a full-blown rebellion, or in the name of mom. So I wrote to D. Powers from Craig Winn, your letter of resignation, date November 16th through 19th, 2024. D, it pains me. Oh, excuse me. D, as it pertains, it does pain me. But that's not what I wrote. That's not what I wrote.
Okay.
Been a long day. Help me out, guys, here at Time. Okay, D, as it pertains to your involvement with Yada Yahowah, you are not, and you never have been a victim. And yet that was the overriding theme of your inaccurate and derogatory letter. It was all about inappropriately blaming others for everything while taking responsibility for nothing. This has become a broken record with you. Although this is the first time where I was the target, and this time I know better. I accept your resignation. Please release Yada Yahowah branded assets, channels, accounts, pages, and software programs to me or my designee as administrator and remove yourself. Prior to your letter, you were treated with great respect, kindness, and generosity. You were appreciated for what you had done as part of the Yada Yahowah family. You had been called very intelligent, but never an idiot. Although your absurd extrapolation of that assessment from my joke was either idiotic or psychotic. You were overtly, both publicly and privately, praised for your research, your insights, and your contributions. And you have been entrusted with money and responsibility pursuant to Yada Yahowah and never questioned on either until now. Therefore, the assumptions you expressed were the opposite of reality. This, too, is concerning. You can only look inside of yourself to know why you would perceive and then write such grossly inappropriate things in your recent letter of resignation. But this attitude has been festering for some time, which is one of the reasons I became less engaging and responsive with you. I sensed it coming, although not to the extent of your letter, which was very disappointing. And now, based upon the severity of your misrepresentations, your accusations, and your traitorous actions, I am at a loss for a resolution. And considering the importance of this mission and your current impedance and disruption of it, this is a serious problem with undesirable consequences. And every issue and conflict raised against you over the years, and there were many, I had always had your back and had consistently accepted and taken your side, even when abusive claims arose with your husband, with your former friend, and with other covenant members who were actively engaged in this mission. It now appears, based upon this letter, where I know the truth, that I was wrong for taking your word against theirs. I have a soft spot in my heart for those who have suffered abuse and who have survived to rise above a difficult past. This was one of the reasons that I was so prolific in my praise for you. Unfortunately, however, the more I tried to lift you up, the more you tore others down, including my wife and your best friend, and now me. And you are not only inverting reality in pursuit of these caustic goals, projecting your failures on those you are attacking, and thus engaged in libel. You are trying to control assets that do not belong to you, which is theft. Well, Leah contributed ever much as I did. Between us, we have recently sent you $9,000 to allegedly keep you safe from a husband you claim is beating you, and so that you could continue to work on social media, from which you immediately resigned, and another $9,000 in advertising, which there is absolutely no benefit. And yet you protest that no one has the right to question your financial integrity. Almost as bad is the way you have expressed your appreciation by claiming that we treated you like a doormat, especially since the opposite is true. You have taken money from other covenant members as well, also under false pretenses. It isn't my place to tell you how to invest your time, but you were happiest and most productive managing social media for Yada Yahowah and then writing songs. Since this seemed to be good for everyone involved, I would have encouraged you to continue in a supportive role behind the scenes. Of course, that was before I know they were going to write odes to Mom. However, since I gave you considerable time to walk away from the false claims in your letter, weeks and then months, and since you are trying to block and control assets you do not own, I am no longer confident that this option is in anyone's interest. Now we know for certain. You do not seem capable of disavowing your false sense of victimization, of refraining from casting aspersions where they do not belong, or inappropriately trying to control access to the Yada Yahowah branded accounts, pages, and channels. And now you are working against me. No matter what is going on in your life, this approach will only make it worse, and it is caustic to everyone around you. I am sad for you, Dee. I wish I could help, as I did when you were having so much trouble at home with your husband, who you claim was being violent towards you, and then with other members of the covenant family who you positioned as wrong while you claimed you were right. But obviously, my overwhelming support for you was neither appropriate nor appreciated, and it backfired. So you burned a bridge to a safe place. And while it may be repairable over time, well, I wrote this a long time ago, it will take considerable effort, and currently your actions are further deteriorating your position within the covenant family. Therefore, I have a proposition for you. Remember, I wrote this in mid-November. I apologize first. I have a proposition for you. Apologize for your letter. Return the money Leah recently sent to you since you breached its terms. She sent $6,000 because Dee said she was broke, eating, feeding her kids the equivalent of dog food, had to go get a job, could no longer work in social media. And so Leah sent her, I think it was $2,300 a month, draining what was left of little that was left in her bank account to support Dee. And this is what Dee does. So I don't care about my money. I care about what she did to Leah. That was reprehensible. And it's subhuman. Transfer control of the Yahowah branded accounts, pages, and channels to myself while removing yourself from them. And then, if you want to continue with your friends, do so privately in an invitation-only group. And if public, do so without any mention of me, my books, transliterations, translations, logos, lyrics, shows, and with your own branding and message. Little did I know that she was going to promote a religious cult devoted to Mom. If this occurs, we'll see if time heals these wounds and if you can be trusted again. We know the answer to that now. I was curious as to what you were planning when you thought it was appropriate to cite my copyright stipulations in the midst of a letter denouncing me while resigning. But since you went there, the extent of your liberty extended to you presenting my message on my accounts, channels, pages, and sites, those bearing the YAHOWAH brand name and images, my name, my books, my translations, my transliterations, insights, and audio files, as directed by me in full cooperation with others as I designate. But since you have officially resigned and since you ransacked my trust in you in the process, you have no rights to Yada Yahowah assets apart from citing and properly crediting small portions of them on your private accounts and pages. Your attempts to limit our access to YAHOWAH branded accounts so that you can control the expression of our message is egregious, bordering on unforgivable under these circumstances. The truth is that you do not own and cannot continue to influence or control, since you have resigned and denounced me, any YAHOWAH branded sites, pages, accounts, or channels, all of which you started were being opened, which you stated were being opened in my name and with myself and others as administrators. You lied. Since you are fully aware of the nature and merit of my mission, how did you think this was going to play out for you? There is nothing to be gained and everything to be lost. Recognizing that you have managed to plummet from the happiest you've ever been to the most self-destructive in less than a month, the better choice in battling whatever it is that is eating away at your judgment would have been to avoid casting aspersions, projecting your insecurities, and then transition away from social media without negative implications while returning the money covenant members have provided. However, based upon the derogatory expressions in your letter, when the opposite of what you claimed was actually true, what could possibly contribute, or could you possibly contribute that I would view as reestablishing trust? How is your Miriam moment and Meribah meltdown going to sit with YAHOWAH in his family?
Scary.
Are you this intent on being the gazelle, viciously thieving and destructive bird? Have you thought any part of your plan through? One must wonder, are you really this haunted by your past that you would try to control YAHOWAH's message apart from me? Are you so unfulfilled in your life, so desperate for someone to blame for what happened long before we knew you, that you believe lashing out at the people who have been the most supportive and generous to you is going to resolve these problems for you? With this letter, combined with your prior and subsequent actions, you have removed the mask. You're now transparent. You have made a giant stride towards writing yourself out of God's story and our lives. And for what reason? Dee, I had consistently viewed you as a smart and talented woman who was capable of great things. You have contributed to the mission of YAHOWAH's Nakar, his Kol, Choder, and Bashar. And you have been acknowledged and appreciated for having done so. Currently, however, you have a very dark cloud hanging over your head. And over the course of these days, with your letter and your actions, you have gone from contributor to impediment. Please step aside, get your life in order, and change your attitude. And then we can see if there's a path forward. Since you decided it was appropriate to judge me, I'd like to share a useful insight. When it comes to people, I am consistent. I analyze what they have said and done, and then after giving them a chance to clarify themselves, I respond based upon their statements and actions. So if there is something that you perceived was a slight from me, you should be able to ascertain why it might have occurred. And if you don't understand my response, you may want to read your antagonistic letter in front of a mirror. If you believe it was appropriate, then there is nothing I or anyone can do for you. At this point, you have a choice. We can part quietly and amicably for a while, with you doing as I have asked, and I will say nothing other than you are pursuing other opportunities. At this point, only a handful of people have been appraised of your turbulent history. Let's keep it at that and say no more. Let's see if time heals your self-inflicted wounds. After witnessing everything you have said and done in the weeks prior to sending this letter, inverting the truth, while impeding the mission of Yada Yahowah, I decided to look at the progress in social media. And considering the time, the money, and the effort we have put into social media, I was particularly disappointed in the appearance and the performance. Now, I blame myself, not anyone else. But that is when, at Yahowah's urging, I decided to transition from author and translator, even commentator, to active video blogcaster. I have a tendency to do as God asks. I didn't write that in the letter, but that's just the basis of it. I was very, very comfortable doing what I was doing. I loved being a translator. I loved being an author, a commentator. I love sharing the insights. I'm in love with the written word. Yeah. This was my happy place. God asked me to leave my happy place for this place, which is so much more vulnerable, by the way, where we turn on the lights, we turn on the camera, we turn on the microphone.
We're in your house.
We are. You are in my house. I am in your house. This is all live streams. Yeah. But that's what Yahowah wanted. I agree with him. It doesn't matter that I agree with him. I guess it does matter. Yahowah would prefer.
Don't you agree with him?
Yeah, he does. And I do agree with him. I think that the transition was, in fact, I know the transition was right at this time. And
that's the way people learn now.
You know, every day after we do these presentations, I go in and watch them. It's something I was never able to ever listen to anything that I'd ever done or even watch anything I'd done on television in the past. Mm-hmm. I hated it. This time, that's not my reaction. I'm, based upon what I see, we're doing exactly as Yahowah wants, and we're doing it well. And he is very pleased. Anyway, I didn't write any of that in the letter. I wrote in the letter, I intend to invest heavily in this new approach. Well, that's pretty obvious. And I wanted you to be an important contributor to it, but you have made that impossible, is what I actually wrote. And well, excuse me, I once believed your side in every conflict. We lost Stephen's Yada Yahowah YouTube channel as a result of your interactions with him. She was, by the way, I didn't write this, but she was miffed that if you search for Yada Yahowah or anything related to it, his channel had so many more subscribers. He was doing so much better job that everybody went there. Now, as it turned out, we were able to gain control back of that channel, but she had to have it shut down because she couldn't compete with it, and she had to be the queen bee.
Really?
We sidelined Molly, who has now come back. You know, Molly is now back creating graphics for the Hive when it was Dee who absolutely trashed Molly. It's just amazing that somebody could be so duplicitous to destroy somebody's credibility and have that very person be part of their new enterprise. I just shake my head and say, how is that even remotely? Is anybody able to think anymore? Anyway, we sidelined Molly, who was among our most prolific contributors, due to your issues with her. She said she couldn't continue. She couldn't do her work because Molly was so awful. Leah's influence is now curtailed due to what you have said and done to her. Now, I am your target using Jackie, and recognizing that no one has been more profusive in acknowledging my role in Yahowah's plans than you. Where do you think this continued conflict is going to lead? Even worse, you've made it difficult, if not impossible, to trust you or to help you, since prior attempts have all been counterproductive. Craig.
Yeah, this seems like it had been going on for quite some time, because for her to say, "Oh, Molly's no good, no good. I can't do my job without Molly," and then to turn around as soon as she's gone and say, "Hey, Molly, I need your help over here to help me create my own thing." You know, there seemed like there had been some thought put into that.
With Dee talking as such that she said, "Listen, I control Jackie. Jackie's easy for me to manipulate." Bragging about how she could control Jackie, and then she lures Jackie into her group and away from the thing that Jackie has done so well for so many years. Yeah, the whole thing was connived.
It's got to be tough for you guys, because being together for so long that you can't make Jackie see it. You guys were friends, family, you know?
Yeah, I let her into my life because she was part of Leah's life, a very turbulent part of that life. And so I let her in. I walked her away from conspiracy. Everything she knew about Yahowah is what I had shared with her. And when they came back together, they split apart the first time when she told Leah, and I don't even know if it's true now, but I know she told Leah this. I don't know if what she was saying was true, that she was being beaten routinely by her husband. Now, I've met her husband. Her husband doesn't seem like the violent type to me, so I doubt any of it's true. But she claimed it was true, and Leah said, if you're being beaten, you have to leave. For your own safety, you have to get the kids out of there. And then Leah came to me and said, I want you to know this. And I tried to also intervene and encourage her that if this is true, you need to leave. I'm not a marriage counselor. It's not my job. I'm not judging anybody here. But if somebody's claiming that they're being abused, you need to leave that situation. And I was then asked to provide money so that she could move out. And I did. And she didn't.
Yeah.
All right. So we move on. And I over the next month, I hear less and less and less from David and Jackie. If I send them a letter, I might get a one-word answer. And then after a while, a whole month went by. And I heard nothing from them. I sent both of them 3 or 4 emails over a period of a week after it had been 3 weeks since I heard from them. And then finally I received this email. And I received this email right on that computer screen, right after completing one of the YAHOWah blogs here in this office. Craig, I don't know if you've been made aware yet, but there's been work done. This letter, by the way, was written by David, the person I gave so much credit to for having built the Yada Yahowah website. He is into this up to his nostrils. I don't know if you've been made aware yet, but there's been work done to clarify the role, the identity, and importance of the Ruach Kodesh. Ruach Kodesh is set apart spirit. This is the new individual that's mommy dearest.
Mommy God. Yeah.
This is the first time I've heard from him in 2 months. Or even from Jackie in a month. It suggests that we have undervalued her role in this creation. I am including a translation of Mashal 8, as well as a paper documenting the findings. At least Mashal 8 would be a good place to see a translation from you. I am beginning to be concerned that we might have missed something vital in the Torah. How many words does the Ruach Kodesh speak in the Torah?
None. Zero. Yeah, Kirk's got
How
it.
many times in the Torah are we told there is a spirit mom?
No, that's a new one. I haven't seen that in the Torah. None. Yeah.
None.
You heard it first.
We might have missed something vital. What he's saying here is that you've misled us. And Dean now has found spirit mom, and spirit mom.
Left her behind.
We have undervalued. You have undervalued her. By the way, just to be clear, I am the first person that accurately designated the Ruach as feminine. As a matter of fact, the books I wrote very early on designating the Ruach as the feminine manifestation of Yahweh's nature is how Leah and I met. It is the very essence of how we met. No one in human history has gone as far to value the set-apart spirit as the maternal manifestation, the feminine manifestation of Yahweh's nature. That does not make her a separate entity. She is Yahweh.
Yeah.
Her name is Yahweh. It's just that Yahweh has both by the way, we all do.
Yeah, X and Y.
Yahweh has a masculine and feminine nature. Yahweh is masculine, however. Yahweh is father. He didn't say, Dode, you are my daughter, although you're maybe a little queer. I don't know. And I am your mother. Didn't say that, did he?
No. I think Yahowah lost his job.
It is always his spirit. That's why it's always difficult to, even to talk about the spirit having being a feminine noun, because every time it's in reference to Yahweh, he's always him, Father. So here they're claiming that I undervalued her role in creation, when I'm, by the way, the first person that made a big deal that says that the spirit hovered over. And I explained what that means in terms of Yahweh dispatched an aspect of his nature into the sixth dimension to orchestrate aspects of creation. So you could not have undervalued, I could not have undervalued her role in creation because I was the first to value it.
Think about something just a second. Satan had to have some words from the twist. Muhammad had to have some Talmud writings to twist.
Yes.
Paul had to have some writings, know some stuff to twist, and he had to hire writers to twist it because he couldn't speak very good or write very well. And these people, let's be real honest, and these are people that I loved for years. They didn't know squat about this until you wrote it. They'd had nothing, and they still have nothing without taking some of your stuff and twisting it. What's the difference? And look at the outcome of those people that did it. My God, people, this is serious. Valid. I mean, this is your soul we're playing. When I talked to you the first few times, or wrote to you the first few times, it was because all of a sudden I realized the most important thing in my life is my soul. It's the only thing that's going to last or has an opportunity to last. And you said there's 3 destinations. That freaked me out. I only thought it was 2. And so, like.
By the way,
this
Kirk,
is really, yeah,
your soul.
Yeah,
it's from the Hebrew word nefesh. You know that.
Yeah, nefesh, of course. Yeah.
It's feminine.
Yes.
Does that make you mom?
No.
Are you transgender, Kirk? You're just not telling us.
No.
No, but what is the difference between Yahweh has a feminine aspect of his nature that is projected through the Ruach, and you have a nefesh, and I have a nefesh that's feminine.
Yeah.
Does that change us? Does it create a mom in us?
No.
Of course not. But that's where they went with this. So anyway, there is no one who has anywhere close. I mean, there must be 5,000 examples of where I stress the importance of the feminine manifestation of Yahweh's nature through the Ruach?
Maternal
Thousands and thousands and thousands of times. No one has ever come close to this, and you want to say you're breaking away because she was undervalued?
You undervalued? She was undervalued?
If you were to pick something that would be the furthest from the truth, that would be it.
Yeah.
Congratulations. I'm beginning to be concerned that we may have missed something vital in the Torah. No. There's no mention of mom in the Torah. And even the Ruach is part of Yahweh.
Mm-hmm.
Especially since we don't have a translation of every verse. This is their whole thing. Is
No,
that
no.
and it echoes all of the flying monkeys they sent after me. We don't have a translation.
40,000 words ain't enough. Huh?
And of course, collectively, he's never written a translation. Dee's never written a translation. The only translations they have, they've got a guy who, I mean, he does a B+ job of translations when he uses my style. He even says, I'm using Craig Winn's style. There's no better style to do an amplified translation, and I really can't do them as well as he does them, but I've been asked to do them, so that's their translator. Great. I think we've made the point that the Torah has been available in thousands upon thousands of translations, and yet no one's understood it. And so it wasn't the lack of a translation of every verse that made the difference. It was the explanation of the verses that made the difference. Mm-hmm. You missed the entirety of it. The exact opposite of what you're claiming, just like D, is true. Those omissions are at the heart of what the Torah translation team is trying to rectify. They're my competitor. Good luck with that. Yeah. You are going to rectify my omissions.
Yeah, I think you might have an edge. I'm not worried.
Seven Ruach and a 32-year head start, and I may have a faster processor than all of them combined. And I was specifically designated by Yahweh for this job.
Yeah, and named all
over the place. So you got as much chance of doing that. Well, we've seen the results of that.
Yeah.
Spirit Mom song.
Spirit Mom.
Where you got everything wrong. Unfortunately, you are taking an adversarial role toward that team. No kidding. I'm afraid.
Rightfully so.
I'm afraid. See, now we have to besmirch me. This is not only said, okay, I missed the importance. I missed the most important part of the Torah. I undervalued the thing that I was the first to value, and that I haven't translated every verse, but they're going to rectify my errant ways. Then it gets even worse. Unfortunately, you are taking an adversarial role towards that team, the new team, the mutinous team, the rebellious team. I am afraid that you are heading towards Joab's admonition to Dode. You hate those you should love, and you love those you should hate.
No. No. I think you got confused. When you go to Babel, you get confused.
Yeah.
Oh.
As I scan your Facebook page, I'm concerned with what I see. It's starting to look like the Craig Winn fan club, complete with acolytes wanting to get in your good graces. I have to say, if this had been my first introduction to your work, I would have passed it by. Of course, that may be due to me being behind the times. Perhaps you and Yahowah are attempting to grab the attention of a different clientele than me. Well, obviously, you're not part of the clientele that Yahowah is trying to gain the attention of. You got that part right.
Yeah, you're right. That one right.
Yeah, so it couldn't all be wrong. Jackie and I have been talking about how we want to proceed. This is the Jackie that wouldn't bother to respond to my emails. This is the David that wouldn't respond to my emails.
Yeah, this makes me want to cry.
Now comes out and says, Jackie and I have been talking about how to proceed from this point forward. I think we are one mind, and that we don't plan to continue our roles of editor and webmaster. We're joining D. We're going to become part of the hive. Hopefully, your product will be used by those wanting an accurate translation of Yahweh's words. So I'm not interested in taking down YAHOWAH.com. But since I won't be the one to take it forward, we have to coordinate its handoff. I assume Joe would be the correct person for that. I wish you the best, David. I'll tell you what, pal. If you had taken it down, Yahweh's wrath on you would have been unmitigated.
Yeah, I believe that.
And even then, he says, I'm only leaving it up for the translations. He would go on later to say, because no one should ever read your insights or commentary.
Beg your pardon?
So they're in it deep. Now, nonetheless, I chose to take the high ground. I did so with David. I did so with Jackie. I will give people, as I said, even with D, I will give you the opportunity to come clean. I will give you the opportunity to clarify yourself. I am not someone who judges someone without giving them every opportunity to resolve the problem. I gave him the opportunity to have an Aaron confession. Dear David, thank you for responding. I will discuss the transfer of the management of the website with Joe today. I appreciate you building it to this point and for the promise of a professional handout. I have not spoken of this previously, but just as Dee went after everyone that she viewed as important to me, I am also convinced that she went after Mary to get to Joe. There's no depths to which they will not crawl. I appreciate you building it to this point and for the promise of a professional handoff. I am sorry to see you go, but that is your choice. The same is true with Jackie. She will be missed. That said, you are both welcome back, should you choose to leave the Queen Bee. The mother.
Yeah.
Blessed Mother. The Lord is with thee. Well, I don't agree with, and certainly don't appreciate your criticisms. I understand the motivation for them. What that was to say is, I know for you to go in competition, for you to have a new voice of God, you need to demean me, and that's what you're doing. So I understand the motivation for your criticisms. But what's important is that I do not concur with the team's identification of the Ruach Kodesh with the 8th Mashal. I disagree with the suggestion that the Ruach has been undervalued in creation or otherwise in my translations and commentary.
Hardly.
Should have been obvious, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes I'll even write the obvious. But there is no merit in me addressing these things other than to point out that the team's basis for their assumptions is erroneous. It should be obvious. The 8th Mizmor isn't about the Ruach Kodesh. She isn't even mentioned. She is Chakma, which is the capacity to understand. And that remains true throughout. It is a celebration of thinking, of exercising good judgment, of prioritizing the proper processing of evidence leading to comprehension. Yahweh wants us to think our way to him. Dode did this better than anyone.
Yeah.
Which is why he wrote this mashal using stylistic metaphors. Understanding is a skill that is developed. The Ruach can contribute, and she does with some, especially with Dode and the Choder. But she's just part of the process of developing the skill to be discerning. Corrections made. I appreciate you letting me know the appeal of the new team and of the discord towards me. The new team is going to be devoted to elevating the status of Spirit Mom. Didn't write that, but that's obviously what was true, and of the discord to me. So I appreciate you letting me know the appeal of the new team, which they did, and of the new team's discord to me. So, since you were generous with me by explaining it so that the mystery is all gone, I'll be generous with you. Based upon my history with you, it seems rather obvious that someone was looking for a feminine role, for a new calling, and they found it once the songbird myth cratered. Now, all that's required to sidestep the hundreds of prophecies regarding that other guy is to suggest that he no longer appeals to those who are part of the new spiritual team. I'm not trying to be harsh here, but instead help two people I care about and appreciate see what's actually happening. I'll never stop teaching and correcting, even when the audience has decided to listen to someone else rather than that other guy who is likely responsible for discerning and sharing 90% of what you know about Yahowah, the Ruach, Bereth, Mikre, Torah, and Dode. Again, thank you and Jackie for all you have done. I have enjoyed working with you and appreciate the many wonderful contributions. You will be missed. Craig. Now, considering the piece of shit letter he wrote to me and how derogatory it was, how erroneous it was, how rebellious it was, how defiant it was, I think that was very gently played.
I think so.
Yeah.
January 16th, I wrote this to David. David, I was attacked on X yesterday by an insider in Dee's camp. It was childish, dismissive, and insulting. But the attacker, who was using my transliterations, which serve as a signature of my writing, then blocked me. So I did some investigation trying to figure out if this person was acting alone or as part of a group of insiders trying to thwart what Yahowah has asked me to achieve on social media. The answer was as I expected, based on the evidence. I ran a test on my Facebook page to see if I was actually being deliberately undermined using my books and broadcasts. The results were shocking, and they were undeniable. I visited Dee's webpage on Facebook. I've subsequently been blocked from it, of course, for the first time. And I noted who was active there. Then I went to Stephen's old channel, which was given to me under the provision that it did not fall under Dee's control. And as I noted to you 2 days ago, someone was posting all of my new material while avoiding supporting what I'm trying to achieve on X, YouTube, and Facebook, particularly if you follow the links to the affiliated channels. Now, the people that were controlling that channel have subsequently left the hive, and both have not only come clean, they're doing spectacular work on behalf of Yahowah and the covenant family and for his people, Yisrael. So you need to know that I didn't write that in this letter, but that's reality.
Yeah.
The answer to every question was boldly pronounced right at the top of the page, including the handle of the person who had told me in a very crude and immature way to leave social media and go back to Blog Talk Radio. What he wrote was that no one wants to listen to a fat man in Hawaiian shirts sell real estate. You need to go back to Blog Talk Radio where you belong. One of the hive's monkeys. there was indeed a rebellion underfoot. And at that point, I had to respond to it. So I poked around some more on social media sites that are using my books, translations, transliterations, insights, audio, and video programming while deliberately not supporting what Yahowah has asked me to achieve. And I was exceedingly disappointed. I am sharing this with you in the expectation that you have not been drawn into the rebellion. Actually, now we know he was building the rebellion. Hoping that you will continue to manage YAHOWAH.com. Yeah, fat chance of that. We have been through a great deal together, and you have repeatedly assured me that you would do so, even if the waters got choppy. So much for that. Not only is your work greatly appreciated and valued, it is essential to this mission on behalf of Yahowah, his son, and his people. It wasn't until I came to the realization that the reason Yahowah asked me to stop writing and start speaking at this time was that I had completed the portrait he was painting, and I was now the sum total of the books, and that my job was to look his people in the eye and share what I knew about him, coming into their homes and speaking person to person.
Great plan.
And therefore, the books on the shelves were of far less importance. And that's hard for me to say because I spent 23 years of my life writing them. But I spent 23 lives of my writing them so I could do this now.
Yeah. Good conclusion.
And I recognize that if you were to sit down and for the first time and you're hearing this message now, and if you were to devote 3 hours a night, 7 days a week to this, it would take you a full year to read them once, and once is not enough to grasp this material. There's so much of it, it's so dense. And so this was essential in this transition. Anyway, I said, I appreciate the fact that you've done the two things I had asked, and I thank you for doing so, but I have not heard from you in some time, so I'm concerned. Based upon what I've learned, I'm going to ask Dee and her group to go dark on social media, at least as it pertains to me, my books, my shows, my transliterations and translations. If she and her group want to be part of a Torah study group and songwriting club, I'm going to ask them to do so privately. And as a result, it is important that you remove the Shamar Torah link from the Yada Yahowah site because I don't want to be mixed messages. I never sent my assessment of the November 16th, 2024 letter to Dee. That turned out to be a tremendous mistake. So now I will read it, post it, and send it if I do not resolve this issue privately. This is still in my letter to David.
Yes.
Unfortunately, my dear and long-term friend Jackie has been drawn into Dee's group. I have not heard from her in weeks. Considering how much she means to me in our mission and how much she accomplished over the years, I'm hopeful that I can draw her out tomorrow. I will call her. I will try. You are the only person that I've shared any of this with other than my wife. At 1 o'clock this morning, that's when Yahowah shared his insights with me, and I went over and I figured, well, now I need to deal with this. There are no CCs on this email, so I'm hopeful that you will send me a note or call me tomorrow morning so that I know where you stand in all of this. Out of respect for you and all you have achieved for me and for Yahowah, I wanted you to be aware of what was coming so that you're not blindsided. Please do not be stressed by this. Yahowah, Moshe, Dod, Shamuel, Eliah, and Yashayah all faced and survived similar betrayals and rebellions. This is not my first, and it will not be my last. We will prevail. Well, those words were for naught. I'm going to share another letter. This letter was written to one of the three men now that is most active in guiding Team Yah. He is become a very good friend of yours, Kevin. He is three of you just appeared instantly, and as you have noticed, between the three of you, I have just essentially turned everything over to you. I say, with your competence, with your understanding of Yahweh, with your commitment to his mission, I can go and do what God's asked me to do, which is to speak to his people. I can do that, and I will trust you guys to do the rest. And that's what we've done.
Yeah.
So this was written.
It's been a great collaboration getting everything together. I mean, it has really been amazing how quickly.
And it's we're just so relaxed in the whole thing. It's so comfortable. So much trust that we have built up together and this, and everybody is contributing, and it's just a marvelous thing. And for some of you who are listening all the way into the depths of this program, who have written me recently, as I had asked and offered to contribute, understanding that I haven't responded to all of you yet. My job, I'm going to try to do it over this weekend, we'll distribute all the names of the people who have volunteered for various positions and try to get everybody positioned so we're all contributing. We have so little time left and we want to accomplish so much. Anyway, this letter was written to one of these three men, probably the one that I will end up with being the closest to, because I do think that it's likely that he is moving here. So, the first one that I became closest to actually was Charles, because of the three fellows, because he wrote me this amazing email the moment all of this broke, and it was so heartfelt, and I had made contact with him before, and so it just really touched me. And then Kevin, you came out and told me your whole history with this, and we shared that in our last program together, how we came together. Rich was the third, and he's been the slightly more quiet of the three up to this point, but his expertise and level of contribution is just really extraordinary. Yeah, and
the tech side of thing is definitely in good hands, no doubt about it.
We're in good hands. We're clicking on all cylinders to say. So anyway, this letter was written by David to one of the three of you. So yes, the sun is beginning to set, and Mom is trying to get our attention. The sun is beginning to set. This is David now writing. And Mom is trying to get our attention. Proverbs 8 is a good example of Mom. Now, he now knows that Proverbs 8 doesn't mention Mom. So he's deliberately lying on behalf of the new cult. Unfortunately, Craig has already said he does not intend to translate it or give it credence. It's not what I said. I read it in Hebrew. I read it in Hebrew the moment they brought it up as Mashal 8, because when I translated, I think, through 7 for observations, the reason I didn't go into 8 is it's very flowery. Dode occasionally gets into this stylistic mode, and it's very stylistic. It's all about chakma and this process of coming to understand. And while I happen to celebrate it, I didn't think it was one of those things that was going to resonate as much with where we were with the covenant family. What it basically says is that my approach to God is the same as Dode's approach to God, and that the only way we're ever going to know God is to think our way to him. And it's a celebration of thinking our way to God. And so, I did not translate it for the book, but I read it in Hebrew the moment that he sent it to me. And the first thing I recognized is that the Ruach Kodesh isn't mentioned in it. And there's no reason to translate it for the purpose of Mom, since there is no Mom mentioned in it. And that the she that they want to turn into Mom is nothing but Chakma. Chakma is a feminine noun, and that's it. So I give it credence for its purpose. I don't give it credence for Mom, because there is no credence to Mom. And Yahweh basically said, you've written enough. It's time for you to speak to my people. So I may not ever have the opportunity to translate it. Unfortunately for everyone blindly listening to him, this is a deadly mistake. So she's saying that everyone who has read my books, who has listened to me over the years, is dead.
Really?
They're blind and they're dead. So when I tell you that the opposite is true, I have every right to say so. When I go after them and I say that this is a disgusting rebellion, worse than Numbers 12 with Miriam, because Miriam claimed that she was wanted to speak for God and that she could speak for God, but never actually did so.
Yeah.
They have. And Aaron immediately said, "Boy, that was stupid. I ain't going to do that again."
I'm sorry.
Excuse me. Dumb.
Aaron wanted a mulligan.
They went on and did it. What they have done in this case is infinitely worse than what Miriam and Aaron did. And now they're claiming that everything that I have shared, which is the only reason they even use the term Ruach Kodesh, it's the only reason they even speak of covenant, it's the only reason they ever celebrate the Moed Mikre. Everything that I have said, this recognition that Dod fulfilled Pesach, Matzah, and Bakodim, the recognition that there are 5 conditions and benefits of the covenant, the recognition that the Moed are designed to deliver the covenant's benefits, that everyone who is blindly listening to me has made a deadly mistake. Now, last time I checked, Yahweh made it pretty clear that I was speaking for him.
Yeah.
And last time I checked, those 35 books on the shelf translate Yahweh's words and speak for him. The only time I'm not translating Yahweh's words is when Yahweh is saying, this religion over here is attacking and harassing and misleading my people. Go after it, expose it, and condemn it. Because Yahweh spends about half of his time with his people saying, don't be religious. And so he asked me to do those things. All the rest is translating his words. And even when I criticized those other religions, I am criticizing them by comparing them to Yahweh's words.
Yeah.
So
using his words against them. That's exactly what happens. Yeah.
This statement, unfortunately for everyone blindly listening to him, this is a deadly mistake, is essentially him saying, I'm going to go to the other side. And if you're in opposition to Yahweh, guess whose team you're on? It won't, by the way, he says, it won't doom him. It just will kill everybody else. It won't doom him, being the choder and all. So I'm the choder, he is admitting. It's obvious. And that I have the 7 spirits of Yahweh. The very Ruach that they are claiming they are pursuing is, well, the choder of Yahweh is the first person in human history to receive all 7 of Yahweh's Ruach. So it won't doom him being the choder and all. But the death it causes at his hands may be the reason he has to experience death as the red heifer.
Boy, what a stretch.
Can you imagine how disgusting this man has become?
Yeah.
If you read the story of the red heifer, I mean, I'm not trying to correct David because that'd be a waste of time. But if you read the story of the red heifer's sacrifice is to restore the children of Yisrael. It is actually specifically for the adulterous woman that is Yisrael, so that Dod as the Messiah can be betrothed to his people. You know, it's symbolic. He's not actually marrying Yisrael. People get all wrapped up in it.
Don't get hung up on that.
But Israel has to be cleaned and prepared for Dod's return, and Dod is the bridegroom of Numbers 5, and the bride, Yisrael, is the mortal remnant, is cleansed by the red heifer. They don't want any part of that because that's those Jewish people over there. They're the white goy Motherites. And so he is saying that I die because I've killed everyone who's listened to me. I'm the choder and all, But nevertheless, I have killed everyone who has listened to me, and so I must be killed as the red heifer because
how do you even come to that point?
caused her death. Now imagine that. Yahweh speaks in a prophecy of devotes an entire chapter of Yahowah to what we're doing together and how his spirit has made. By the way, the first thing that the spirit provides is chakma. By the way, just saying. The second one is bien, which means understanding. And that it is the spirit of Yahweh that is being provided to me. But to have an entire chapter of Yahowah, the most prolific of the prophets, devoted to one man, the Choder, and you're recognizing I'm that guy with the seven spirits, and yet you're saying that I'm causing everyone that reads the Nesh that Yahweh has written through me to die.
Yeah, it didn't follow that line of thinking all the way to the end.
Where is the logic in that? I mean, that must be the stupidest thing that I've heard anybody say in a very long time. That's worse than dearest mom. We bask in your sunlight and love. Good grief. How was... Man, I feel embarrassed even for me. Did I really spend such time around such people that are this irrational? And now he's going on to say that, I'm the red heifer and everything. I'm the Adam of Parah, which is another very profound prophecy. So Yahweh chose to have another prophecy about me and to speak of the benefit of that sacrifice, but it's a bad thing.
Right.
Yeah, it's a bad thing.
For everyone else. Yeah.
Oh, even for me?
You kind of missed, all but you.
The blind following is the reason I almost destroyed the site. Go ahead, pal. See what happens if you destroy the site. See what happens to you. Because I want to tell you, nothing will happen to me. I wrote those books. I know everything that's in those books. My job is to convey those books to you. And I will tell you that somebody else will build a site that's a hell of a lot better. You want to bring it down? Go ahead. Go ahead and take the next step in sentencing your soul to Sheol. Big time operator. The blind following. Following the person that Yahweh gave the prophecy of the Choder to and wrote the 35 books on Yahweh, that he built a website to showcase and is the red heifer, but the blind following. That's why I almost destroyed the site.
And I don't know, I couldn't count how many times you said, don't take my word for it, look it up. You know? Yeah. I mean, there's no blind following. Yeah. Go look it for yourself. That was the whole point. See if you're coming to the same conclusion I am. Come on this journey with me.
That's what we have written from the beginning. The death it causes. So anyway, the blind following almost destroyed the site. But for some people who read the translations without the commentary, it is very useful. You are such a loser. What a disgusting thing to say. Yeah. The fact is, it is the commentary. Translations of the Torah are a dime a dozen. There are thousands of them. They've been around for thousands of years, and no one understood it, and you still don't. It's the commentary. It's the insights. Is the why the seven spirits of Yahweh came upon me, so that you would understand them, and you missed it all. You threw it all away for spirit mom. Then and we're going to conclude with this letter. There's a lot more to share, and we may end up doing another family hour on this, because it's important to see how people go astray and how you can go from being engaged with Yahweh and part of the covenant to being estranged from it. And that was something I never understood previously. So yeah, another confession here. I am actually learning. I had once thought once covenant, always covenant. You don't have to worry about it. That's just not consistent with what Yahweh has said.
Yeah.
You know, Absalom was Dod's son.
Yeah.
Absalom is not going to be in Shamaim. And I had even thought maybe that's what the deal that, that Dod may have negotiated with Yahweh, because there is the third Mizmor that is dedicated to Absalom. And so I had thought maybe that's the deal that he made with Yahweh. But you know what the deal he made with Yahweh was? Keep my son out of Sheol. It's for damn sure Absalom, with the rebellion he pulled off, just like these characters. Can't excluded themselves forever from Shamaim. Do you think that Yahweh's going to ask me, after all we have done together, to share a moment in Shamaim with this idiot and his queen bee? Zero chance. And so what Dod negotiated was to keep Absalom's soul out of Sheol.
Wow.
I am not going to cut that deal for you.
It's the right thing to
do. Do you understand that while Craig examined every surah of the Quran, every verse of Ezekiel, every verse of Galatians to point out Satan's influence, he didn't bother to do the same with the Torah, the very words Yahweh that we need to hear. So, you want to tell me that when Yahweh asked me to begin 33 years ago, not 30, 23 years ago. It'll be 32 years when we're all done. 23 years ago, to start with Islam, that God was wrong?
Hardly.
Do you think that when God went out of his way to expose and condemn Shaul by name, that I was wrong to follow his example and do the same?
Yeah, hardly.
Do you think that when God gave us the Debadium 18 test to discern who is and is not a false prophet, who is speaking for Yahweh and who is not, that I should not have followed that example and revealed that the book of Ezekiel, that so many think is prophetic, is actually Satan's autobiography? Do you think that God really doesn't want us to pursue Numbers 18, that Yahweh, even though he spends half of the Torah and half of the prophets denouncing religion, that he wanted to have someone work with him that wouldn't do so?
Hardly.
You may want to think your argument through before you make it. And, oh, by the way, my commentary and translations of the Torah exceed any that have ever been written.
Totally agree. Undeniable.
And oh, by the way, the last three translations that I have provided all come from the Torah. Numbers 5, Numbers 12, Numbers 19. Yahweh directs me to what he wants me to translate. I do what he asks. You got a problem with that? You can't take it up with him. You don't know him, and he's not going to listen to you. So let's not bother with that. But that's their argument, is that they are now going to be the team that translates the Torah, the part that I guess that I didn't translate, which would be the parts that aren't going to make a tinker's damn difference in your life between now and the time that we depart on the Shavuot harvest. That's not to say that everything in the Torah has merit. I have given you more insights into the Torah than anyone in human history. And obviously that's not enough for you. So you're going to compete with me, and you're going to be the team that speaks for God. Okay. And you're not going to bother with the Quran or with the New Testament or with Ezekiel. You're not going to follow God's example and expose and condemn religious lies that threaten his people.
Or create them.
No, you're going to create your own. Less than 9 months ago, we realized Shavuot was our harvest.
Therein's the goy of the white
There
goy.
There is the white goy, Mother writes, was our harvest. I knew that line was here, so I pointed out, no, it is not your harvest. You're wrong. Less than 3 months ago, we found out that Craig is the red heifer. If I'm the red heifer, pal. And I'm only one of 2 people in human history that Yahweh has asked to sacrifice their physical bodies to fulfill a Moed Mikre. What does that make you as my adversary? Are you going to be the one that stands up there to take my life on behalf of Hasatan? How could we have been associated with such dunderheads that were so willing to go off on a religious tangent? I'm back to the days of whatever they called that something truth. They always called their lies truth. It was the conspiratorial cult. I wiped them from my memory because it was so long ago. But I remember how disgusted I was to know that these people were associated with me, and they were utter idiots. They were evil. I'm now embarrassed that I was associated with this man. It's embarrassing that somebody this foolish, this irrational, this prone to counter God's own interests was among those people that I shared information with. There's still lots of Torah he wrote left that we don't understand. Well, I'm sure there is in your case. This is what the group derogatorily called the beehive. I wouldn't call it the beehive anymore because it's, we use the term wasp and hornet because bees are nice creatures. They do something positive. So I only use the hive because they ripped off one of Leah's concepts and pictured their website as a hive. And then when we're studying the rebellion of Miriam, Yahweh mentions stinging wasps and hornets. And so it's just so apropos to what they had done. But I do refer to it as the hive. You can call it the beehive if you'd like. What we're attempting to do. You would think that Craig would relish hearing more words from Yahweh. You want me to hear the more words from Yahweh by the group that's just sponsored Dearest Mommy? Instead, he's attempting to silence the group, curate a following. I'm trying to curate a following and speak for God. I'm trying to, good God, you just said I was the choder, that I'm the red heifer, and you want to blame me for curating a following, by the way, which I've never curated. I don't want a following.
No, you've always said so.
And what Yahweh said is that I speak for him. Good God, man, what's wrong with you? The previous email wasn't about an invitation to join them, but instead a resignation. And it was insulting and inflammatory, while basing their departure on the superiority of Mom and Mashal 8. That's my commentary now. So his, rather than saying, are you out of your mind? I demonstrated that what they were alleging in their replacement group was rebellious and wrong. And as for the Torah, my last 3 translated chapters, as I have shared them with you. Well, turns out, he wrote, that prophecy is very exacting. He, who has never translated a word in his life, tells me that prophecy is very exacting, very personal. No, it is really quite open. It's quite clear. It's just that everyone has approached it from the wrong perspective without an open mind, and they haven't understood the words that God clearly spoke and haven't put together the pieces to understand it. God's message isn't personal. It's the same message for everyone.
Mhm.
The moment you make it personal, you're back into Spirit Mom giving you private revelation. That was the very specific thing that God said, I'm not going to do that. Then would you understand some of the metaphors that are used when he's trying to now say that she, as in Chakma, is really the mom? When you understand some of the metaphors that are being used, I don't think anyone, by the way, has ever done a more thorough job of explaining the metaphors that Yahweh likes. For example, grapes that become wine when crushed, grain that
Yeah.
becomes bread when crushed, or olives that become olive oil when crushed. These are metaphors that Yahweh loves to use, and sowing of seeds for a productive harvest. It's something that I've devoted myself to explaining. But anyway, when you come to understand some of the metaphors used, understand the character of the people involved, you see our current situation all over Hosea. Yes, we do. These are not my people. Yashayah. Yes, we do. The first 11 or 10 chapters are all about you. Zephaniah. Well, Zephaniah is the prophet I was translating on 10:7 when I asked Yahweh. I said, "Oh my God, you're not going to want me to go back and rewrite Prophet of Doom. I know that is the answer to this, but it's the one book I have not gone back to rewrite because it was such a hellish experience. Surely you're not going to ask me to do that again, God." Oh, yes. We all know the answer. I have taken care of you. Now go take care of my people. Proverbs and Psalms and more.
And more.
And more. It was really sickening to hear Craig talk about Numbers 12 in the past family hour. He completely miscast the characters. Oh, yeah? God was the one that told me, they represent you. And guess what? They represent you. They sit so much better when you don't attempt to force the square peg in the round hole. Well, nice metaphor, pal. But they fit you up to the point that Miriam and Aaron weren't even 1/1,000,000th as bad as you.
Yeah.
Remember the deal that Craig made with Yahweh? Now, when you go down this, we talked about this at the last time. So, this is the third time where he is acknowledging that Yahweh and I have a special deal. Mm-hmm. Yeah. If Yahweh and I have a special deal, and that would make me unique among all people living today, you probably don't want to go against and besmirch what I'm saying, which is exactly what they're doing. The logic of that is completely lost on me. Remember the deal that Craig made with Yahweh. He asked Yahweh to protect his family and home and to do what Yahweh asked him to do. No, that's not what I asked. I asked Yahweh for three things. I said, listen, anyone who's ever done this has been killed. I'm not going to worry about my own life because obviously I can't do this if I'm dead. So it serves the reason you're going to
keep me alive.
Take care of me. But I want you to protect my home. I don't want to have to be looking around my shoulder all the time. I want you to protect my home. Keep the terrorists at bay. I said, number two, I cannot do this alone. Unless you're with me every step of the way, unless I know that you're with me every step of the way, unless you give me what I need to understand this job, I'm going to stop because I am not qualified to do it. And so we either work together or not at all. At this point, what do I have to lose to say, this is the way we're going to play the game? I mean, nothing, right? And number three, I said, listen, because my skill set has been in business, has been marketing, I want you to manage the marketing, the promotion of this message once we come up with the answers working together, because I'd rather be reliant on you than on me. Okay. Anyway, his summation of that was he asked Yahweh to protect his family and home and to do what Yahweh asked him to do. Now, that last part makes no sense, and it's not an act. It's exactly the opposite. I wanted Yahowah to to make it possible for me to do this. Then he requested that Yahowah do the marketing because he felt he was good at it and wanted to rely on Yahowah instead of relying on his own strengths. Now that part is correct. Yahowah agreed. Well, the terms and conditions, Yahowah had written the acceptance of those terms and conditions 3,000 years before I uttered them. So
91st
Yahowah agreed. But again, if Yahowah agreed with what I was asking, so we could do this mission, and then you want to say, besmirch me because I translated every verse of the Quran, which was the mission. Is there something flawed in your logic? Anyway, now then he will say to besmirch me. Notice that he's lost his family and is now running a marketing campaign. You piece of rubbish. Everyone whom Yahowah has chosen to represent him and speak for him has experienced fractures within their family, because if they don't, then they're incapable of appreciating what Yahowah has gone through with his people.
Yeah.
Yahowah lost his family. That's what the book of Hosea is all about. Mm-hmm. You are not my children. Yahowah lost his family. And so it's essential that we understand what that's all about. And I posted the next day a picture of my beautiful wife. If this is what losing looks like, you can call me Craig Lose. And oh, by the way, I am now the shepherd, at least for the next couple of years, and maybe 3 years after that. I am the shepherd of the most perfect family in human history. No, I didn't lose my family. I have the most wonderful family anyone has ever experienced in all of time. And running the marketing campaign, Kevin, how much of the marketing campaign am I running?
I don't know that you know anything about this marketing campaign when it comes to social media. You're kind of like, yep, I like it, go. Yep.
Okay.
I mean, we're definitely, we try to make things come from the top down, and that doesn't work. It doesn't work that way, you know. I was asking about the shorts. I said, hey, we want to put these shorts out. We want to have them go through. And he's like, yep, I like it. Everybody gets them. I'm like, okay.
Everything you guys have, first of all, my presentation to you was, we're all going to share credit in this, and I will accept all blame. My preference would be that I do nothing more than prepare to speak to Yahowah's people, and that I look this camera in the eye, and I do the best job I can possibly do of sharing with Yisrael and Yehudim what I have come to know about Yahowah, about the covenant, about the Mikra, about the timeline, about all of it. And that, gentlemen and lady and ladies, please, you take it from there. I don't want to take away from what God has asked me to do. So, am I running a marketing campaign? Hell no. You haven't gotten any of this right. Not a word that you've said has been accurate. And you've shown yourself to be adverse to Yahowah's chosen implement all the way along. Member of the Club of Wise Men that are now leading the outreach campaign. It's not really a marketing campaign. It's my job is to learn what Yahowah has said, to protect his people, to understand it and share it. And it has always been Yahowah's job to put the people around me so that that message is communicated. He works through people. He found a wonderful group of people to do this. And you guys are doing your thing. Yes, when you asked me about, I created these shorts, but I don't know, if I'm supposed to use them. Yes, and I said, oh, good gracious, I love them. Use them. I mean, create shorts, create logs, create anything that you can do that shares Yahweh's outreach to his people. Please do it. The reason that I was so glad that you guys joined us is that, listen, Kirk's my good friend, but Kirk is even less capable than I am when it comes to social media. I mean, I think this may just been Kirk's first smartphone. So Kirk, you're my buddy, but this, pencil, and so Kirk was not going to do it. And I dearly love my wife. She is amazingly creative, but she's not a manager of technology. I mean, when a computer comes, she can't even set it up. No, that's not going to work. When it comes to writing a song and creating visuals for it, and working with people to share Yahweh's love and his message, she's great, but she isn't going to do it. And so, the day this whole breaks up, the three of you just appear, and you've got skills.
Amazing. Oh.
Yeah, you've got amazing skills. And then a bunch of other people with skills all of a sudden volunteered, and there we go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Sylvia said that. She said, "Wow, all three of them right there."
It's just a wow, and so I think you can tell when I'm doing these YAHOWAH blog programs that I'm pouring everything I have into it. I'm completely confident and comfortable in doing it. And when I'm done, I walk away because I know that now it's your guys' turn to take over.
Yeah.
And we have to hone our skills. I've got skills in terms of sarcasm that should play beautifully on X, for example.
Mm-hmm.
I think I've got game as it relates to it. But in terms of driving the algorithm so that we reach more Yehudim,
yes.
And at this point, probably 85% of my followers are Yehudim on X. But driving things that help, I'm not good at, and I'm expecting that once we get everything kind of locked into place and the machine is running well, that one of you guys is going to do a little research, and we're going to figure out how we make that monster work, because that is a really hostile world. And I've become pretty comfortable here in Facebook. It's a really, Mark Zuckerberg, when he pulled off the thought police and we could actually communicate and create a sense of family and camaraderie here, this has been a really wonderful sight. So I enjoy this one. And when it comes to YouTube and Rumble, I'm an absolute zero, other than I like watching these programs on TV. It is my TV every night, because when you hear it, you it's just so reinforcing that we're doing the right thing. But I'm expecting that, as particularly with Charles, and he's likes to work with Stephen and the others, that we're going to make that experience much more exciting for the listener, and we will continue to share Yahweh's message. But anyway, that is how this thing is happening. I know what I know, and I know what I don't know, and my deal with Yahweh has never changed. It's exactly the same as it's always been. And I've read the end of the story. I'm sorry to bust your bubble there, big boy David and Dee, but I've read the end of the story. Dode returns with Yahweh. There is a Shabuah harvest. There's the Towrah harvest. The red heifer, the Adamah Parah sacrifice prevails, and God's delighted with the results. So I may not be your favorite. That's okay. I'm not a lot of people's favorites, but that's okay.
Yeah.
Don't much care about that. I know that we succeed, and I know that when it's all over, and we arrive in front of Yahowah as a team, he is going to be ecstatic because he's told us so. He's already told us what he's going to say about us. And fellas, I maybe I didn't tell you this part, and I hope that this doesn't upset you any, but our job does not end when Dode returns.
I got a feeling it's a working job.
So as Dode, as king, gets to delegate, and I'm his chief delegatee.
You say Kevin?
Which means the king gets to do whatever the king wants to do, and what the king doesn't want to do, he delegates. I get that job. But guess what? I've run a lot of businesses. I've done a lot of things, and one of the things I learned is that you can't accomplish much without a team.
That's true.
So you guys are my team.
Yep. So, put me in, coach.
What you signed up for isn't just for the next few years. What you signed up for is really for an eternity, because God has things he wants us to do, and he would not have chosen Dode to be king of eternity unless there were things to manage.
Yep.
And so we're going to be in this together. Now, that's not to say we won't have some swell vacations together. We will.
Yahowah likes work.
But we will be doing that.
Stuff.
So anyway, he wrote this person. He says, I can't tell you what to do, but I would really like to have you as a friend in eternity. Well, that would mean that you'd have to go to Sheol. I would advise against that. My goal is to continue reading Torah from Yahowah. He's going to read Torah from Yahowah, but not from the person that Yahowah chose to bring it to you.
Translated for him.
And I don't know how he's going to do that, since he doesn't have any skills in that matter. But nonetheless, I'm helping the team in any way that I am able. Yeah, he built the daggone beehive. I'm here if you have any questions. Yeah, we question your sanity.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not going to go into this tonight, but I have 2 letters to Jackie. And if Jackie's listening, she asked me on one of her letters, I think it was the only really heartfelt response from Jackie, to not share anything she had to say to me, or anything in my response that would pertain to what she shared with me. And I can tell you, I will not. I absolutely will not share your letter to me. Not going to happen. And none of them. And in my response to you, it's important for our listeners to know, and we'll do this next week, to know how hard I tried to save you from this, Jackie. And that's important. And in doing so, I am going to just reinforce, Jackie, that I did not, and I will not, divulge anything that you told me in confidence. But I am going to share my responses, because it's important to know that just within David, I reached out to him, tried to help him. Then I wrote him another letter to try to help him. And then I even tried to reach out to him on this program 2 weeks ago to help him. Now, he has shown that he is way beyond help, and I won't make that mistake again. But I don't regret having offered to reach out to him. And I don't think that Jackie's ever coming back. She came very close a week ago, shared some files, and then went away, said she was going to handle the rebranding, and then I haven't heard from her since. So I'm not going to hold my breath. That saddens me, because we went through so much. I care so much about her, to see her wrapped up into this mess. But you're going to see that I tried. And then we will share, there's the way that I mentioned in the previous program, talking points, where all the points that David made in his letter, all of those who were sent out to attack me on all the social media sites, they all echoed exactly the same words. They were all doing this deliberately. It was a scheme. It was sent out by D to destroy me, and to usurp the role that Yahowah has asked me to serve. on behalf of his people so that she could be perceived for speaking for Spirit Mom, which, by the way, is D, in case you were wondering. So that's the end of our program. We went a full 2 hours, 2.5 hours to tonight. Thank you, gentlemen, for your indulgence and patience. For those who are still listening, thank you for indulgence and patience. We have tried to limit the length of our shows previously. Again,
this is important.
I want you to know that the reason we have done this is because many have been led astray. Yeah. Many more will be led astray unless we deal with it. Yes, we are sarcastic and we are denouncing the foolishness of all of this, but it's not funny.
No.
We and Yahweh use humor to try to get through the most hellish parts of man's rebellion against God, and so we follow his example. And it's our responsibility to make these programs entertaining, but it's also our responsibility to make them enlightening. And when as I said, every time I ask whether we should deal with this or move on to a new topic, it's about 80% that say we need to deal with this. Yeah. This is important. And when I asked Yahweh what we should do when it became really nasty, when the rebellion was obvious, he first response was, "Why are you asking me? I've already given you the answer." And the answer, of course, is Numbers 12, which you start translating, you go, "Oh my God, every nuance of this is a perfect fit for what we're enduring." And the whole purpose of it was so irrelevant in the time that you realize that the whole episode is for us now. And then you look at the program we did just prior to this and how every word of that is for us now. And then you realize that every time there was a rebellion like this, Yahweh dealt with it, and he dealt with it harshly.
Yes.
And so our job is to follow his example. Our job is to respond exactly as he has taught us to respond.
Yeah.
So that's where we're here. This is exceedingly serious. Yes, we have great fun working together, learning together, sharing together, being a family. We have tremendous fun, but we take this really seriously. There is a 0% possibility we're going to appear before Yahweh and said, "I'm so sorry we failed, that we didn't give it our all, that there was more we could have done, but we just, we got a chance to play Augusta National or Spyglass Point and or Cypress Point, and God, you can't. Even you wouldn't turn that down.
No.
I moved to this island with Leah because I knew there would be no distractions, and there are none. We wake up, we do this all day. We go to bed at night. We wake up and do it all over again. I haven't left this island since we arrived. We're really serious about this. We love Yahweh. We adore his son, Dod.
Yeah.
We care deeply about Israel and Yehuda.
Yeah.
And we will not allow anything to get in the way of Yahweh's reconciliation with his people. Thank you for listening. Gentlemen, you're on my right over there. I can look at you. I can point at you and see your smiling faces. And I am so grateful that you have been here and that we're working together in this regard.
Me too. So, thank you.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening, for inviting us into your home, for being part of Yahweh's family, for growing together and contributing to all our God wants of us at this time. May Yahweh bless you all. Happy Shabbat. Good night.